Hey, this is Peony and I'm here today with another tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw two symmetrical eyes from a reference photo. So let's just get started. I've selected a reference from these beautiful eyes for my today's drawing. You can have a screenshot from this photo if you think you need to have it. I take my HB pencil to draw the construction lines. I start with one eye and then move on to the next one. So let's start with the right eye. I like to consider the overall shape of the eye and then I start drawing from the inner corner of the eye. So I draw a straight line here and another one here to simplify the general shape and break it into simple lines. Then I draw the lower eyelid. Your lines should be faint and light in this stage so that if you make any mistake, you can erase it easily. Locate the iris inside the white of the eye. I try to draw the lines a little darker so that you can see the process better. After that, mark the pupil. My pupil is located right here, a bit lower than the top eyelid. This is the top eyelid. Pay attention to the distance between the pupil and the eyelid in the reference and specify the position of the pupil. And the light reflection is placed in the form of a slanted rectangular box above the pupil, so make sure that this rectangular shape is not straight. Mark the place of the tear duct. There is also an inner layer of the eyelid next to it. Don't forget to draw the top plane of the bottom lid. Pay attention to the negative space of the eyes to get the proportions better. Instead of looking at the eyelids and drawing the outlines, focus on the shape and proportions of the whites of the eyes. Now on top of the eyelid, I want to draw the crease. I draw the crease here and extend the beginning of the line till here, because in my reference, the crease starts from the top of the tear duct. If we ignore the eyelashes, we will notice that the distance between the top lid and the crease is more than what it looks like. So don't let those eyelashes trick you, because the eyelashes make this distance seem shorter. Usually people's eyebrows start from the inner corner of the eye and is placed exactly above it. In this person, there is a hole in the corner of the eye next to the nose bridge, which connects the eye to the nose. Here the eyebrow is located exactly above this cavity. I visually calculate the distance between the eye and the eyebrow from top of the crease. Then extend the line and start the eyebrow from here. The beginning of the eyebrow is kind of straight. When you are drawing the eyebrow, constantly check to see if the distance from, for example, this part to this one is correct. Keep checking so you can find the proportions correctly. From here on, the eyebrows curve a little and goes back. To draw the top of it, I consider the thickness of the eyebrow. This is really important to draw the construction lines as correct as possible. So calculate it with your eyes and then draw the outlines. Although this person's eyebrows are thicker because in this area a series of hair strands came from above and made the eyebrows appear thicker. To draw the tail of the eyebrow, I consider this curve next to the corner of the eye and extend it to find the proportions of the tail. So if you look carefully, you can see that there's a curved line here that if we extend it, we will reach the tail of the eyebrow. The tail is a little bit dragged to this direction. It comes here a bit. This part has a little arch and here it turns a little straighter and connects to the peak of the eyebrow. If we measure the peak of the eyebrow with a straight line, it is almost close to the corner of the eye. So I think the peak of my eyebrow is exactly above this part. So I drew it right here. And it's done. I want to make the lines a little bolder. To draw the crease under the eye, I consider its distance from the lower lid and draw it in the form of a curve that covers the lower eyelid. We have some lines here and here as well. I don't draw the eyelashes right now and move on to the next eye. To draw the second eye, we should consider 2 points. First, the distance between the two eyes is as wide as one eye. And the second point is that the two eyes of this person are not in a straight line, and it seems that her head is slightly tilted to the left. So I don't draw the second eye straight next to the first eye. I calculate the distance with my pencil. Note that I don't place my pencil straight, I angle it slightly to the left and then I draw a guideline. I want to connect the middle of this pupil to the middle of the next eye's pupil. So as you see, this line is not straight at all. Because as I said, it seems that this person's head is slightly tilted to the left. So let's leave a distance between the two eyes equal to the size and length of one eye. So consider the size of this eye, draw an eye with the same size and length in the middle, and start the left eye from this corner of the middle eye. Again, with a few simple lines, simplify the overall shape of the eye. A straight line here and then a curve upwards. Draw the lower eyelid the same way. Like this one, draw the iris. If you pay attention, you'll find out that the lower part of the iris of the right eye is not covered much by the lower eyelid, but the iris of the left eye is more covered by the lid. So I cover the bottom of the iris with the lid and I don't draw a complete circle here. Draw the pupil. As I said, the pupil is located exactly along this line. The middle of the pupils are placed on this line. Make sure the size of the pupils are equal. Again, place the light reflection a bit lower than the upper eyelid. Specify the tear duct. And again, just like this eye, consider the negative space of this one as well and see if the proportions of the white area inside the eye is correctly drawn. See if the whites of the eye on this side of the iris and that side of the iris is scaled correctly and sizes are correct. It seems like this eye is looking at this side, and that's why we have more white space in this part more than the other side. Draw the top plan of the bottom lid. To draw the crease of this eye, start from the inner corner of the eye. Pay attention to the lines and shapes. Drag the lines upwards. This crease seems to be slightly higher. I want to mention it again, if you don't consider the eyelashes, you can better determine the distance between the crease and the top lid. To draw the wrinkles at the bottom, draw some curved lines here. These lines are faint and less defined. Now let's draw the eyebrow of this one. Again, there's a cavity here that connects the corner of the eye to the nose bridge. Right along this cavity, as I move upwards, eyebrow starts appearing. But instead of starting the eyebrow with a straight line, draw it in this direction with a slanted line, because this eyebrow is slightly inclined towards this side. The peaks of the eyebrows should be equal, so with the help of a line, draw these two peaks at the same height. So the top of these eyebrows should be equal. Of course, this one seems to be a little bit higher because there's some hair attached to it from above, but in general, try to draw them equally. Consider the distance from the crease to the bottom of the eyebrow. I want to specify the thickness of the eyebrow and draw the rest of it. In order to make sure that we put the tail of the eyebrow in the right place, again go upwards from the corner of the eye with a curved line to locate the tail. The end of the eyebrow is curved like this. And as I mentioned, some hair are attached to the eyebrow from above. Here we also have some lines that indicates the bridge of the nose. Okay, finally we're done with the construction lines. Now let's darken the outlines so that you can better see the result. Let's sharpen the tip of our graphite pencil with sandpaper. You can also watch my tutorial about how to sharpen the pencil the right way. I'll put the link in the description box below. I'm making these lines bold so that you can see them more clearly, but in general, try to make your initial lines lighter. Again, I can make the lines lighter with the eraser because I don't want them to show through when I'm shading and adding more layers. Now let's shape the eraser into a tube like this and just drag it on the drawing to lift some of the graphite away from the surface, because I don't want them to be visible while I'm shading. To begin with, I use my HB pencil and I want to darken the pupil first. Then move on to the pupil of this eye. Try not to put too much pressure on the pencil because we don't want our paper to be shiny because of the graphite surface. Then start from this eye and make the iris darker. Apply a light layer of graphite so that it looks like darker than the color of the paper. Do not shade this white box. Instead of using an eraser or jelly pen later, use the white color of the paper to show the highlights. In my opinion, the most important point in drawing symmetrically is that the rhythm of the lines and shadows should be uniform and consistent. So try to shade the both sides at the same time. And when you apply the shadows on this side, apply the shadows on the same area on the other side. Because if you complete the shadows of one side and then move on to shade the other one, it just seems a lot of work to do and you'll face something really different suddenly. And you might feel there's a lot of way to go. That's why the best method is to shade these two eyes step by step at the same time. Now let's work on the crease and make it a little bit darker. Let's go to the other one. The end of this crease has a little cavity, which I will indicate by creating a soft shadow for now, so that I can define it more later with darker pencil. Apply a soft shade on the surface of the eyebrows. Try to apply a consistent shade very gently to define the borders of the eyebrows so that we don't lose the proportions during the process. And avoid shading in different directions. Try to shade in one consistent direction and repeat the movement of your hand to have a consistent layer. Create shadows above the crease and gradually make the shadows lighter and add gradation to it. As you get closer to the eyebrow, fade the shadows to give a transition from light to dark. Extend the crease and connect it here. We don't have much shadows in this area because it stands out and receives more light. Do 80% of your shadows in this first stage with HB pencil because this pencil is thinner and has better coverage, so if a mistake happens, it can be erased more easily. And it covers the paper hollows better than 6B or 8B pencils. That's why I created most of my shadows with this pencil, and for introducing darker values, I picked the darker pencils. Here we also have a series of shadows that are connected to this end. I do my shadings lightly and I hold the pencil in this way to have more graphite surface to shade larger grounds. Let's move on to this one again. As I said, don't get lost in the shading process and constantly switch between the two eyes. As far as you reached, stop the process and move on to the next eye. Because you might almost complete one eye, and when you come back to a half-finished job, you have to start from the scratch, and this can make you lose your focus. Create some shadings on the nose bridge. I want to emphasize on the same shadows I applied before. Darken this area under the upper eyelid. Let's darken the rim of the iris. Still using my HP pencil, move on to the next one. Darken the corners of the iris, then add some shadows below the top lid that has been casted from the upper lid on the iris and whites of the eye. Add some patterns around the iris by creating a few short lines. Darken the crease even more. Keep darkening it layer by layer and do not rush with your dark values. Graphite can easily make your paper shiny if you press the pencil too hard. The white of the eye is not actually white, so slightly shaded as well. Shade the corners of the tear duct, but keep the middle lighter. There are always some highlights in the middle. Darken the lash line under the bottom lid and add some shadows here, and some wrinkles. Make sure to darken everything step by step, and keep shifting between the sections. If you want, you can use a tissue or a blending stump to soften your shadings and make it smoother. Again, add some shadows to the whites, especially in the corners of the eye. Let's add some shadows to the skin, because I don't want it to be as white as the paper, because I use this white for the brightest highlights. Add some shadows above the eyebrows, but the space between the two eyebrows are actually lighter. Make the nose darker, you don't want it to look white. Well, now I take the 4B pencil that I have sharpened and introduce a darker value to my drawing. First of all, let's darken the pupils. The pupil is the darkest part of the eye because it is actually a hole and it's deep. Then make these patterns more defined. Then let's make the cast shadow even darker. There's a thin line of highlight in this part of the iris. the same steps for the next eye. Create some faint lines in the middle of the iris. Reinforce the shadows you applied. Continue the process until you reach the desired contrast, and make the shadow zones darker layer by layer to give it more contrast with the highlights. Let's go for the eyebrows. Create the first layer by drawing some strokes as the base texture. The strokes on the beginning of the eyebrow are almost straight, and as they move to the right, they gradually get inclined to the right side more. Try to create the lines with the sharp tip of your pencil, and don't forget to make the ends of the line thin and pointy to make them look more natural. Add some hair from up here randomly. Little by little, create bolder lines. In the next stage, try to pay attention to the placement of each hair on the eyebrow. Let's keep this eyebrow here for now, and before we finish it, move on to the next eyebrow and repeat the same steps. First, I will create a thin layer of lines on the eyebrow to get the general shape of it. And then draw some special and random hair in the different parts of the eyebrow. Pay attention to the direction of hair growth and the way strands intersect with each other. Also, to better understand how to draw the eyebrows, you can find the link of my eyebrow tutorial from the cards. So make sure to check that if you think you need to watch that beginner's tutorial. Let's add some random scattered small hair in this part. Add some hair from above to show the thickness of the eyebrow more. Then add some thicker and darker strokes by putting more pressure on the pencil. You can apply a very light layer of graphite under the eyebrows. take your 6B pencil and darken the previous shadows. So instead of pressing more with the same pencil, I prefer to use a darker pencil to make my shadows darker. So shade the darkest shadow areas with your 6B pencil. Now let's start drawing the lashes from this corner. Take a good look at your reference photo and pay attention to the form of each eyelash. Draw the eyelashes in groups and clusters and overlap them on each other. Draw some random and irregular strokes. Some are longer and some are shorter. Her eyelashes are almost long and they almost reach the crease. If you want, you can first draw the lashes lighter with a thinner pencil like H or HB, and then in the next step, make them bolder and darker with a darker pencil. You can also watch my eyelash tutorial from the link above if you think you need more explanation. The lower lashes are usually lighter, shorter, and thinner than the upper ones. As you did for the eyebrows, make your strokes pointy and thin at the end. So lift your hand up at the end of each stroke so that they get nicely thin. Apply a very thin layer of shadow under the eyelashes. Reinforce your shadows. Draw small tiny lines above this box to show the reflection of the eyelashes and the highlights. And a little wrinkle to the bottom of the eye. And in the end, double check your drawing and your shadows to see if there's any mistake to fix and unify the drawing. So this is for today's tutorial. I hope you enjoyed and find it useful, and don't forget to take a look at my channel and check my contents. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video.